Good day. It's 7 a.m. I am currently driving about 30 miles away from where I sleep. This was a particularly hard night. I think I caught something. Got the sniffles. I've been sneezing for hours. It's the worst. I drank like at least 1.5 gallons of water just to try and get over it. I think that helped, but yikes, just yikes. Yeah, I'm completely exhausted. I'm tired, and I got another shift tonight. Hooray, hooray, capitalism. On a serious note, I'm not satisfied. I'm not content. This isn't working. I'm not comfortable. Okay, let me just explain this, because I feel like I need to give some context about this. I'm 25 years old, right? I'm 25. I started working at 16. That's a typical age to start working. Then, I decided to go ahead and enlist at 18. And I shipped at 19. Shipped to boot camp, whatever. And I was very, very smart, methodical with my spending and my money habits. And I actually left the military with a decent amount of money, all things considered. I left with a decent amount. And I'll just lay it out on you guys. I left the military with about $36,000 in my retirement account. It's like a tax benefited retirement account. And I left outside of that account about $36,000. Yeah, about $36,000 in a sheriff certificate bond. No, $32,000 in a sheriff certificate bond, and $10,000 in my checking account. Right, I left the military with a decent amount of money and a decent portfolio, and I've been working since I've been home, and I'm putting money away into my portfolio, and I'm still doing the same thing that I did when I was in the military. I'm spending money responsibly. I'm doing all of the correct things, and I don't ever see myself owning my own home. I don't see myself being able to retire comfortably unless I work my ass off. And even then, there's no guarantee, I don't think. I don't see myself attracting a lady because of my finances. And before you say, well, that's not true, you're a good-looking, young, strapping guy, whatever. I understand I look like shit right now because of the eye bags and, the water retention, whatever. But, I don't see it. I don't see it. It's not coming together. And yeah, I understand that it's my fucking mood, and I'm sleep deprived, and I'm exhausted, and I'm just ready to go home and crash, and I'll feel better after I wake up. Part of me wonders if I'm just more honest when I'm tired. Less inhibitions the same way when you're drunk. I wonder about that. I really do. And I'm tired, And the truth is that I am doing better objectively than like 90% of my peers. Obviously I'm not a millionaire. Hell, I don't even have access to $100,000 liquidly speaking, but I'm doing good. And it's still not good enough. And if I'm not doing good enough, no one is. And that's the problem. And I just can't help but think to myself, what's the point of working like this? Working myself just dry. Like every time I have this conversation with my dad about my sleep schedule just destroying me, he just kept on telling me that, yada, 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 it's worth it. I don't feel like it's worth it. I don't think this whole game that we play called capitalism and society and modern life is worth it. I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm not getting access to actual proper food. I'm not getting enough sunlight on my face, my skin, or my balls. Yeah, guess what? I'd like to get some sun on my balls. Turns out that's good for you. Can't do that in this modern society, right? Yeah, I know, too much information. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm just deprived of sleep right now. Well, really not just sleep. I'm deprived of a lot of things. I can't remember the last time. No, hold on. I can't. In fact, I can do nothing but remember the last times I had physical contact with a lady. Last time was with a gal who, I'm not going to name this person, but basically she tried to turn our first date into a one-night stand, I presume. I don't know for sure, but it seemed that way at the moment. But, you know, like, she was holding my hand and caressing it, and it just, you know, like, that just melted my heart, you know? I couldn't remember the last time at that point that a lady had held onto my hand and, you know, was holding it affectionately. We were watching a movie for context, and it was not a romantic movie. It was Deadpool 3, but, you know, like, after that, I was just supercharged for a week straight, of course, until I found out that she was a lady who was not worth talking to. Let's just say that, you know, she tried having a one-night stand with me that night, and I kind of just socially shut it down because I really didn't want to. You know, I'm a virgin, and, you know, like, sometimes it's intentional, and other times it's like, man, why won't this person jump on me, right? But the point I'm trying to make is I found out this lady had been with 20 other guys, and she had multiple STIs and STDs, and now she's like, and I am glad that this is why we don't do casual one-night stands, okay? This is why we don't do that. It's a bad idea, because I would have caught something, and that would have been a terrible freaking experience. It would have affected me for the rest of my life, right? But, enough rambling about that, I guess. The point I'm trying to make is, I don't really have the things that I need or want out of my life. And I'm tired of being told, just wait a little bit longer and you'll get it. Like, I want to have the things that I need and want now. And I'm not talking about luxuries, okay? I don't really give a shit about luxuries, okay? I am literally willing to sleep outside in a sleeping bag, with a tarp on an elevated platform to keep me insulated. I am literally willing to do that. That is more financially responsible than purchasing a house at this point. That is how fucked it is to be my age in this American world that we live in. And I know everyone's struggling, and I know that I'm doing significantly better than people my age. And I've got an emergency fund. I've got, you know, a car. I've got so many things to be thankful for. But man, it's the haven'ts. It's the things you don't have that really irk you, you know? I was watching a stream earlier today of this YouTuber, Raymond. I love his content. He's a very honest and sincere person. He can be cynical, but the truth is that he has a right to be cynical. Like, he's done the work. I mean, hell, he's renovated a freaking house. He owns 2 homes. How many 37-year-olds do you know that own 2 homes and only has the debt of the other house that they haven't paid off yet and, like, a truck? That's unheard of. And he's 37. That's insane. Not to mention, he beat his alcohol addiction, right? He still calls himself an alcoholic because, like, that's how the game works. That's how the system is. Every time you talk about alcohol, you have to say, hey, I'm an alcoholic, whatever. I get it, right? I've got my addictions too. It's not alcohol, and I'm thankful for that, but I've got my addictions. It's mostly carbs and sugars and sweets, and I do mean it. I will eat an impressive amount of sweets, and it's bad when I do. It's bad. But, you know, like, he's got a reason to be upset, and he has a right to voice it, and he's just, like, trolled by, like, so many different comments, and you know, half the comments are probably fake. Honestly, they have to be. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if a good majority of them are actually from AI. Like, it's... I guess I've kind of lost my point. Point is that everyone's struggling, and, you know, like, I made all the correct decisions too for my age range. Now, this person, Raymond, he admits to, screwing up his earlier years with drinking, right? He said he basically drank away $1 million worth of booze. And, like every single time I think about things that are not good for me, I look back to that. And, I take it as wow, I need to do better. I need to make sure that I can live a better life for the sake of people who made mistakes when they were younger.